Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Creative Corner podcast. Today's topic is going to be on the Naruto franchise. Today's guest is a well known YouTuber who does a lot of videos going in depth, talking about certain aspects, all about Naruto, going in and out about how the world works, how these characters do these kinds of things, and a couple what if scenarios. I would like to welcome Naruto Explained.
Hey, thank you for having me on here.
Thank you for joining me today.
Man, it's a pleasure.
So, what got you into Naruto?
Oh man, in order to really understand my Naruto journey, I kind of got to go back a little bit. Like I started out reading comics, and I moved into Dragon Ball and Rurouni Kenshin after that. And because this is like 97, 98, 99, around that time period, Funimation didn't have all of the rights to the Dragon Ball dub, and so the episodes go all the way back to the Raditz saga. And so, me being me, I got curious. I was like, "What happens next? Did Goku become a Super Saiyan?" And so I started looking for Dragon Ball info, and I accidentally stumbled onto a fan shrine that had a bunch of Naruto designs and everything. And like back then, it didn't like how it is now. Like where you go on the sites, everything's all put into different sections and everything. Back then, there was just a bunch of pictures, and they're just all on one huge page. And so I was scrolling through, and I saw a picture of Kakashi, and I just got down the rabbit hole at that point. And I found some really bad translations of the manga, and I actually saw some of the tuning exams manga panels, and that's just started going from there. I just started looking for more and more information. Probably around 2001 when I started reading Naruto in chronological order, because I finally found a place I could read the manga completely, and I've just been a fan ever since, really.
My experience with Naruto, what happened was a small series of events. What happened was I was in middle school at the time. What happened was I was like fifth grade. That was back in, I'd say maybe '05 or something like that. And one day, well, what happened was first through fourth grade, we only had a X amount of channels. We had a small handful of TV channels, and the only channel I ever really watched that had kids programming was the Disney Channel. Then one day, one summer after I graduated grade school, getting ready for summer vacation, turns out my dad decided to get more cable channels, and so we got channels like Nickelodeon, Toon Disney / Jetix, and Cartoon Network. And what introduced me to Naruto was Toonami. And I saw a couple episodes, and I was a little bit intrigued, but I didn't fully get into Naruto until, unfortunately, my grandfather passed away. But what happened was I, saw a psychologist who I still have a lot of fond memories with. He was a really nice guy, and he would get for some kids to read in the lobby some Shonen Jump books, and that's when I started to read a little bit of it, and from there I got interested in Naruto. I really liked a lot of the characters, the designs, and then I started staying up late. Longer than I probably should have at the time, but I got into vanilla Naruto, and I still have a lot of fond memories with it. That and One Piece was good also.
Oh, dude, that's beautiful. Like just when you said the Toonami thing, I didn't get into it through Toonami, but that's how I ended up getting in Dragon Ball through Toonami. And I really don't think people get how big Toonami was and just introducing anime to people. And I think that's probably why Naruto got as big as it did in the West, is it had that Toonami block.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of anime series were on that Tanami block. Let me see. I I couldn't stay up late enough to watch whenever Bleach was on. That was like 1 in the morning. Whenever that was on. Nowadays I can because I'm 23, but back then, nope. I had school in the morning, so it was Naruto halfway through One Piece, then bedtime. Sometimes if I couldn't sleep, I'd probably stay up till like bo, then hit the hay.
Oh man, hey, I understand on that, man. Like I wanted to try Bleach. I was a little older than you were at that point, but it was just a time slot. I was like, there's no way I'm staying up until midnight to watch Bleach, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to get into it. So I understand that. Naruto, it just had that perfect slot because it was on early enough, at least like in my part, it was on early enough where you could watch it and then still have some time to do some extra stuff and then get ready for bed.
Yeah, and I remember I was going into junior high. I was like, yes, I can stay up a little bit later because of how hours would kind of work. But what happened was one day Tanami was gone and replaced with Adult Swim. So, and funny thing is that when the anime was airing, that was pretty much when Vanilla Naruto's anime was pretty much over. It ended there, and then Adult Swim came on, so I couldn't watch the Shippuden anime for quite some time.
And see, my thing with the anime too is like, some people call me like a snob. They say, "Oh, you always say you prefer the manga," and you gotta understand. Like for me, I got into the series via the manga, but I got it so out of order. So I actually used the anime to, uh, get caught up. Because like I said, I was about 2001. I was reading it in order, but I was still missing some chapters because like Manga Panda and sites like that weren't fully up. And so like when they start rolling the anime out, like I was able to get little sections that I missed and get a better appreciation for the story. But all that filler, man, that's what killed me on the anime. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I remember some really weird episodes. Like there was an entire episode dedicated to, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura trying to figure out what is Kakashi hiding under his mask, and is that really important? Not really, but just it it's a sad truth when it comes to adapting a manga. Honestly, I do think there should be more anime that's original instead of just basing everything on manga. I mean, I know that Gynex, understood that when they created Evangelion and a couple other series. But okay, the manga versus anime thing. I do see the manga as like the continuity, and I see the anime as adding to it, but it's not entirely the continuity. It's like let's say the anime is like the sprinkles on a birthday cake.
I can agree with that.
That's what I see. So what were your overall thoughts on part one of Naruto?
I'm gonna say something that's probably really unpopular, but I really feel as if like the first part of the series, like the first 28 volumes of the manga, or if you go by the anime and you take the filler out, like the first I think like 122 episodes of the anime, I really feel like part one is a more concise, compacted story that does a better job of introducing and giving you some world building and adding to the characters and then raising the stakes. Like you had Orochimaru as the central villain. Like you get introduced to the land of waves, you see what these characters are used to. You realize Naruto and Sasuke, they're the main characters, but they're not really anything in terms of power. And then they get in the tuning exams. Kakashi was this super powerful guy at the time, and then all of a sudden they got this guy Orochimaru, and there's nobody there to protect him, and he's just slinking and slithering in the shadows. And from that point on, it's just like he kept popping up. He was like that eternal boogeyman that was always there, and it kept building towards, oh my God, he's going to get Sasuke. He's going to take Sasuke's body. Oh shoot, Sasuke's going off to meet with them. I feel like part one did a better job of making you get invested and care about the characters than part two did.
I cannot agree with you more, to be honest. Um, whoever's watching this, I might get a couple hate comments, but to be honest, I don't really care at this point because the series has been over for a few years. Um, part one really hit a stride with me because because like I said, I unfortunately lost my grandfather at the time, and I was dealing with some issues of bullying at school. But series like that and the original Yukio, and some Western shows that I also like Ed and Eddie, and
Oh, that
Foster's
was
Home.
classic.
Yeah, and I actually interviewed Matt Hill,
Oh, sweet.
the voice of Ed. Oh, and Peter Kalamis, the voice of Rolf on that show. So a lot of things, like escapism helped me get through a lot of my depression at the time. And so I liked a lot of these different shows, but Naruto, was really good. I really liked the idea of, being able to do all this like ninja magic, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And the only other show that I loved as much at the time was, I'd say, Avatar The Last Airbender. By the way, I consider that to be an American anime. I know everyone says, oh, it's inspired. I consider anime to be more than just restricted to Japan. I mean, look at France. There's a lot of French anime.
I
So
agree with you on that. Like, just like here in America, you got like Ruby. Like, I mean, it's just a genre. That doesn't necessarily mean it's restricted to just Japan. Like, you got some people. Like, I got some friends who are huge comic book fans, right? And some of them look at Boku no Hero, My Hero Academia. They look at that as a Japanese comic, even though you look at it and say, "Oh, that's a manga series." I mean, it's just a genre.
yeah, same here. You just have to read it in the opposite direction. Yeah, so about part one, what I thought of it, I really enjoyed a lot of the characters. Even though there was some bad filler, I do think there was some good filler. And let me see, I liked the idea of, being better than you can be. I do think that Naruto, of course, started off a little bit misguided because he was like oh, I want to do this so I can be popular. But you can kind of understand why he's doing that because, to be honest, I think it was kind of dumb that everyone in the village hated him. And he didn't do anything. It's just because he was born with a curse. And, like, that's pretty harsh, to be honest. It's like he's just a kid. He's an orphan
Yeah.
with who was even raising him? Like we didn't really see anyone raising him. We just assumed that he was like fending for himself. For all we know, he could have been, an orphan or beggar on the streets. But they this world just chewed him up and spat him out. I honestly, do think that is a little odd, coming from a story point, but I did like him. I know a lot of people don't like Sakura, but I like Sakura. I like Sakura. I think she's a strong character. She had good development later on, not as much as she could have gotten.
Oh God, yes. But Sakura's like, I think with this is with Sakura. I think a lot of people miss the fact that when Kishimoto was writing her, she's on a team with these super incredible people. Like you got Kakashi, he's this not regular. Kakashi's this super amazing, famous ninja. He's the copy ninja. Sasuke is the prodigy. Naruto. Later on, you find out he's a reincarnation of the Sage of Six Paths Son. But Naruto is just this guy that he started from the bottom and he's just rapidly progressing. What gets lost in the shuffle is like Sakura was a smart character. She had the best chakra control out of all the people on Team 7 in early part 1, but she was written to be that normal character. Like, I really feel like she was supposed to be that anchor that kind of gets the reader in and say, yeah, all these fantastical people. She's not doing anything super special, but she's reacting in a way that if any teenager was put into that world, they would probably react like that. Like if you see Sasuke get just butchered by Haku, you're gonna freak out. You're not gonna get like super pissed and everything like how Naruto did. That's more so for the protagonist. For Sakura, that's a human reaction. I really feel like Kishimoto did a decent job with her in that aspect.
And so going into part two. So the thing is, like I said, I couldn't really watch, um, the show anymore because, well, one, it wasn't dubbed yet, but secondly, Tanami was off the air, and I was like 13 and I didn't know too much about the internet. I mean, I found out what the internet was in 2008. So, uh, so 10 years ago, I discovered the internet. But no, so I didn't know what all these sites were where you could, alternative ways of viewing or reading, different series. I knew what Google was and Google Images were, and sometimes I couldn't tell what was like what was official or what was fan stuff. Because I was just a kid, I couldn't tell the difference. I discovered at a weird point in my life what hentai was. And the funniest thing is that I thought that every show had in Japan had stuff like that. I was just a kid, so I didn't know. I honestly thought that some of the fan animations were actually from the show, and but then I found out, I was like, that can't be, So yeah, that was strange. So going into part two, I couldn't find out much about it until years later. I I saw a lot of art, I saw things, but here's the funny part. I never truly understood what happened or what was going on in part two until after it ended. Because that's when I was able to get my resources. Until after it ended, and I was finally knowledgeable about the internet and things like that, I was finally able to read up about part two, a lot of the things that happened, and I was frankly disappointed and a little bit glad that I wasn't keeping up with the series at the time.
Oh man, like the fourth grade ninja war, like a lot of people, when I tell people like I don't really care for the fourth grade ninja war and I didn't really care for it until Madara showed up, everybody's like, oh, you're a Madara fanboy, get off of Madara's dick. It isn't necessarily that, but like I can say this much, like the first two quarters of the second part of Naruto, so like from volume 29 up until about volume 50, I didn't really mind it. I felt like it peaked at the pain arc, but when you got to the fourth grade ninja war, those chapters were just dragging on. It wasn't like with the anime. Like I've seen some of the fights and everything that the anime did for it, but the anime added a bunch of extension to a lot of those fights, and they added in little filler parts in order to better flesh it out. But like those chapters, they dragged on, and it wasn't until Madara showed up that all of a sudden it was like the chapters are getting exciting. Like you're getting a bunch of information just dumped on you, like the Gold and Silver Brothers. It was no mention of them before, and then all of a sudden these characters pop up and they've got the QB cloak around them. You're like, wait, how's this even possible? Then you find out they almost killed Toby Ramen. It's just something that gets inserted into the manga with no other backstory. And you're like, I want to know more. This is a series that overkills it on flashbacks. What the hell is going on? Why aren't we getting more information? And I feel like probably from 2011 to 2014, you could tell that Kishimoto was getting burned out.
Oh, most definitely. The thing is, it reminds me of what happened to Bleach. I really do like Bleach because I caught up with it years later. Um, but the thing that happened was, straight up burnout. It was, but Naruto didn't happen as badly as what happened with Bleach. What happened with Bleach was that of course, it went downhill a lot quicker. But not only was, the creator of Bleach, hitting burnout, he straight up, like had a falling out with Shonen Jump,
Yeah.
and just like stopped caring about developing it. He was just churning out manga, because unfortunately, that's an unfortunate way to live in Japan. What happens is, oh, you create all these great stories, and yes, you get to own some of the copyright, but whenever a license holder wants you to make something, you're legally obligated to. So the thing is, he had to keep on doing it because Bleach was still selling, and he just gave up on carrying on the story, which I think is really sad. But I think something similar happened with Naruto. He didn't give up, he just didn't know what to do. Kishimoto just didn't know what to do with Naruto. I don't think it was that he wanted to give up. He just, couldn't figure out, what do I do to keep the readers interested. And I think
my bad.
I think what happened, like you said, it got interesting again with the Madara arc. I think between the Pain arc, between what happened with Pain all the way up to Madara, that section of time, he just didn't know what to do. But then he got some of his creative stride back when Madara showed up. But there were still a lot of issues he had to work around.
And see, like another thing too, like when you look at the Kubo situation, with Taite Kubo, he had a lot of health issues. Like there were times like Bleach would just go on long breaks because of the dude's, health issues. And the other thing, like when you talk about the license holder and that relationship, like when Shueisha is having those Bleach movies done, what a lot of people overlook, unless you're a diehard Bleach fan, Kubo got involved in some of those movies. Like he got very involved. I think it was with the Hellverse movie. Whereas with Naruto, you didn't really see Kishimoto start getting extra involved until around 2012 when the Naruto Shippuden Road to the Ninja movie came out. And the whole thing with that movie, all that was Kishimoto taking various ideas that he wasn't going to be able to put into the manga, and he threw a lot of stuff on there. He was doing the storyboards for that movie. He was doing a lot of the designs. That's why you got Mima Uzumaki, the ultimate reality version of Naruto. But when you look at that, Kishimoto didn't have as much of a requirement to get involved in a lot of these other side projects. And then the other thing is when you say that Kishimoto, for sections, it looked like he didn't know which direction you want to go into. What's interesting is, like, I think it was like a 2015 interview. One of the things he said was, like, when it came to the Pain arc, he was looking at it like, well, Sasuke responded to hatred in this way, and he didn't know which direction to take Naruto. Did Naruto need to just completely spaz out on Nagato, or did he need to overcome the hatred? How would he draw that? He wasn't sure how to do that. He wasn't sure how to handle the whole thing with Sakura with that false confession. I think it was in 2011, 2012.
Real quick. Speaking of the false confession, it's one of my most hated moments in the entire series. But continue.
Oh man, hey, look, I'm right there with you. Like the false confession, when that chapter came out, everybody lost their shit over that. Like I remember being on different forums at that point when forums was still a thing, and everybody lost their shit when that chapter came out. And part of the reason for it was, if you just go by and you had the Shonen Jump stuff, so you can kind of get where I'm coming from with this. But when you go by the typical Shonen template, typically the main character is usually paired up with the hot-blooded, outspoken, angry female lead character. And when people saw that false confession, you had some people, they were like diehard Narusaku shippers, but the other thing is, like, you had some people who were Jump purists, and they're going, okay, Kishimoto's going to put them together. But then when Kishimoto had that chapter come out, like at Jump Fiesta the next year, he's defending Sakura at that point. And I feel like that's probably when the blowback against Sakura really started, because when you look at the popularity polls, she was still a relatively popular character at that point. But after that, it's like she went from hugging Naruto after the pain arc, and she was drawn with those soft features, and the people that were watching that scene, they have that look of embarrassment, like they're intruding on a private moment. So all of a sudden, she confesses to Naruto. She plays with his emotions. She knows that Naruto has a crush on her, and she says, "I love you, and I don't care about Sasuke anymore." And on one hand, Kishimoto's like, "Well, women are supposed to be complicated creatures," but he just completely fucked that scene up. Like I hate even kind of going there because I feel like that could have been executed better. She wanted to protect Naruto from Sasuke. There are other ways that you could have did that. You didn't have to go that way because in the West, it completely fucked people up. And when you go on the Japanese forums and stuff, that's when people really start raging against her.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we'll get back to that in a bit, but so like we were saying, from Pain all the way to Madara, he just didn't feel like what he knew what to do, and I feel because of that huge gap, a lot of people started falling out. Even when the Madara arcs, people, some people still didn't have that much interest. But I feel that the ending to the overall series was definitely extremely underwhelming because you could have gone out doing something that you usually see in some of these shonen series, and a lot of people like looking forward to the climax. I know some writers are like, oh, we want to subvert expectations, but the thing is, some writers kind of do need to understand what we expect is what we want.
Yeah.
And like like you can look at Star Wars: The Last Jedi, for example. It's like, oh, we're giving you something you didn't expect. Well, it wasn't what we wanted. We wanted something we expected. So that's just what I felt like what happened at the end of Naruto. It just felt like it felt like it was knocking off Dragon Ball, because it turned like Naruto became like this messiah, like all powerful. Sasuke became super beefed up. And also, another problem I had with part two, a lot of the side characters that you began to care for and follow in part one kind of got shafted in part two. So
That's an understatement. Like, especially when you read the manga, like when Neji died, I'll forever say this. I'll go to my grave saying this. Like when Neji died, that was chapter 614, I believe. And when that came out, everybody's like, "Oh my god, Neji's dead," and I'm like, I don't care. Neji had not been in the manga since like volume 30, like all the way back during the Kazekage arc. Like that was the last time he was relevant. I'm like, I don't care. Like nobody from that extended circle got any development past that. And so for Kishimoto to kill off somebody that really wasn't relevant, that really pissed me off when that came out. And the thing with Kishimoto, like it got to the point where he even said he forgot certain characters existed. Like for about 2 years, he forgot that Sakura was even a part of the main cast. That's why you didn't see Sakura for a while. With Sasuke, a lot of that's because Sasuke's design gave him trouble as far as drawing, so he would keep Sasuke out. But just the main cast, like the extended cast, there was nothing with Rock Lee. There was nothing with Kiba. Even like with the Hinata stuff, like that was a character that you could have developed parallel alongside of Naruto, where her ninja way was birthed from Naruto. She did get some inspiration from him, but that whole dynamic with the Hyuga clan, that could have been something you could have touched on. That could have been a build up towards the whole thing with the Hyuga and the Uchiha clan. That was something that got teased. Like the Byakugan was the superior dojutsu, and yet we see all these evolutions to the Sharingan, and the Byakugan's just there.
uh-huh. Yeah, from what I've seen, I mean, they're kind of, both clans kind of sprouted from a similar family tree, but and and also I remember seeing this one video that I really did like. I forget exactly what it was called, I'll probably try to link it in the description, but it's like the hypocrisy of Naruto, as it was called. And
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
oh yeah, have you seen that video?
No, I've seen it floating around. I have not clicked on it yet, but I've got that on my watch later list.
Yeah, listen, it's not saying that it's not saying Naruto himself is a dick or whatever. It's just showing off that what happens in this series is that it later it contradicted what the story was about. And this person said that the one character to truly follow through on what the story was about was Rock Lee. Someone who was an underdog, but rising past their limitations to succeed. And that's why Rock was seen as a very popular character, and why in the tournament, back in part one, why that moment is still highly regarded, and why he became such a popular character, because he was able to, because he couldn't do all the hand stuff, all the fancy stuff, he was able to learn a new technique and overcome, like, the Neji, he's from a clan that's superior, and things like that. It's genetics. But he was strong, and the thing is that Naruto became super strong at the end. Why? Because of his heritage,
Yeah.
and because of who trained him. And he was trained by people because of his heritage. So the thing is, it's about, Naruto is the every man who can accomplish his dreams, when in fact he's strong because of who he descended from, and just being at the right place at the right time.
Dude, when you say that, I'm gonna go back to when the manga was running. When the manga was running weekly, probably around 2010 is when I started getting on YouTube and watching different YouTubers, and I found King of Lightning probably around 2012, right? And when Naruto was wrapping up, one of the reasons why I gravitated towards King of Lightning was when you look at his chapter reviews, a lot of what he was saying was stuff I'd be writing in the different threads, and like as far as like on the forums, so stuff like Naruto Base, My Anime List, the different websites. And one of the things he said was Neji Hugo was right. Like when that chapter came out, I think 2013, when Neji died, he said Neji was right. And the whole thing was like Neji kept saying it's about what you're born into. It's about what your clan is. You're already predetermined to be what you are. You really can't escape fate. And Naruto was just giving all of this lip service. And then towards the end of 2013, when it got revealed that Naruto, or it got foreshadowed that Naruto and Sasuke were these reincarnates of Ashura and Indra, and that there was this huge connection to the Sage of Six Paths, and Naruto had like the full master of the
He became
Kiwi
Super
power.
Saiyan. He became Super Saiyan.
Thank you. And I'm gonna give you a good one. I'm gonna DM this to you on Twitter. But King of Lightning did a video about the rise and fall of Naruto, just Naruto as a character, and he makes some really, really good points in that. Because in that video, one of the things he says is that, like what you were talking about, Naruto lost what made Naruto special. Like when I talked about the best version of Naruto and also my Hokage Naruto, the other thing I said was like after it got revealed that Naruto was the son of the Hokage, and he's all of a sudden his intellect and battle and everything, it went from he's just filling it out to all of a sudden he's coming up with these complex strategies and he's a reincarnate. It killed the whole message of hard work. I don't care if he had to kind of struggle to get the QB power. Once he gets the Sage of Six Paths power, he's just spamming jutsu. Like he's healing organs. He's stopping the eighth gate from killing Mike Guy. And it didn't necessarily, Kishimoto wrote him after fact. I didn't really know what I was doing, but it's the fact that he was able to do it so quickly after getting that power, and it's just a blatant handout. It wasn't anything that was earned.
Kaioken! Pretty much. Yeah, so, okay, my overall thoughts on part two, I'll let you say yours after this, but my overall thoughts on part two is it had a strong first half, a lot of potential, but right after the pain arc, it 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 shit the bed. Unfortunately, that's the best way I can put it. What it lost what made it special, and it lost a lot of the community. It lost a lot of it felt relevancy, and it just feels a little sad because right now we have Boruto, who feels like Boruto just feels like it's wearing the skin of Naruto, like a murdered Naruto is wearing its skin and is parading around saying, look at me, I'm the new Naruto thing. I just feel that Boruto is disrespectful to Naruto, to be honest.
If you say the anime, I could probably say that the anime leaves a lot to be desired there. I think what they're doing with the manga, I think that they are starting to kind of turn a corner with that. But like to get to your earlier point when you said people started to check out a little bit after the pain arc, people, a lot of people, they get caught up in the moment, especially if you're an anime only viewer. But I can say this from having followed the series on a weekly basis. The proof is in the pudding, right? So if you go back and you look at the manga sales, the Naruto manga, when it had peak sales, it's like 2009, 2010. That's when the pain arc was going on. And after that, the sales just started. They're still selling outrageous numbers. Don't get me wrong, but the Naruto manga started declining right when the One Piece manga just started ballooning. One Piece started ballooning like in 2008, 2009. And then you had that crazy year in 2010 and 11 where One Piece was just all over the damn place. Naruto just started declining at that point. Like the manga sales, every manga volume after that kept getting a little lower and a little lower and a little lower. And I don't think that that's necessarily by coincidence because the quality of the quality of the story was going down. Like for you, you said the pain arc. For me, I'd say the Five Kage arc. It wasn't like the pain arc was a 10. The Five Kage arc was like an 8. So it's a solid follow up. But everything after that, like only reason why for me from like late 2011, early 2012 onward, I kept reading was I was like, I've invested over 10 years of my life reading the series. I got to know how it ends.
Yeah, when, like I said, I wasn't able to see Shippuden when it was airing or when the manga was being published because like I said, Tanami was gone, but thankfully they brought it back, recently. But the thing is that I didn't have access to it, and I probably would have been one of the people to check out, to be honest. And so my overall thoughts on part two, it just really could have gone a lot better. But like I said before, I don't blame Kishimoto entirely. It's the companies. It's always the companies. I mean, like you see what happened with Dragon Ball. You see what happened with Bleach. The only series from the big three that has stayed consistent and relevant is One Piece. Why? Because its formula is perfect. The thing is, it's pretty much just Star Trek, but pirate ships. And they're characters that have consistent personalities and, really, keep to their characters. They stay with what they are, and it's been giving the fans what they expect and want. And that is why it's stayed relevant for this amount of time. It's been staying relevant, and why I think it'll still stay relevant. And I hope it does have a good ending when it does end. But it's just one of the examples of one of the best shonen series because it's the only one out of the big three to stay consistent with what it set out to do.
But to play devil's advocate on that too, like when you look at Naruto and One Piece, like everybody is quick to say, well, One Piece is the more popular series in Japan. But I can say this much though, like as somebody when all that was rolling out, I I got on the Naruto a little more, but the thing was like with One Piece, like 2008. I want to say that's probably when Skypiea came out. Like I just got into One Piece in 2015, but when Skypiea was coming out, the interest started ticking up, and then I remember around 2012, I start seeing not 2012, 2010. I start seeing One Piece all over the damn place. And then when you look at the sales, that's when the sales and everything skyrocketed. And like when you go back and you look before, like the first 40 or 50 volumes of One Piece all ended up on that bestsellers list out there in Japan. That was like in 2010, 11 when it kind of ballooned. Before that, One Piece, it was a steady, it was steadily selling, but it wasn't the most popular series over in Japan at the time. They didn't get that mantle until the 2010s. And when you look at Naruto by extension, One Piece came out before Naruto. They got picked up at the same time. One Piece came out before, steady sales. Naruto comes out. The manga's doing steady sales as well, but when that anime got picked up, the anime just popped a whole hell of a lot quicker than One Piece did. And I feel like with Oda was given more liberties because it's like, oh, you're steadily selling, you're steadily in the top of the ranks, but this other series is not only picking up in Japan, but it's picking up overseas as well. And I think that's why you started seeing more meddling in Shonen Jump. And then once Naruto started declining, like in that 2010,
that's when One Piece caught up because Naruto started going down, people kept leaving, but then One Piece kind of took its place.
Yeah, and like when you look at the Shonen Jump formula, when you look at the formula, when a series really starts picking up, the tried and true tested thing that they do with a lot of these series is they have some type of tournament thing that is introduced. And when One Piece started picking up the steam, you got Dressrosa, and that's when you have like the Coliseum stuff, and you had a little tournament to get Ace's Devil Fruit. With Naruto, you had the tuning exam. So when that Dressrosa arc came out, that's around the time Jump approached Kishimoto and said, "You're going to be ending Naruto at this time." And in the joint interview that he did with Eiichiro Oda, I think that was in the Book of Lightning. That would have been 2014, 2015. That was one of the things they did for the New Era project of Naruto. And in that, Kishimoto was saying stuff that he would have put off to the very next volume he couldn't do because he had a definite timetable for where it ended. And like with Kubo and Bleach, the same thing. Once Bleach started waning off in popularity, on top of the bad blood with Kubo, once it started waning off, they're like, okay, you got to end this. And you look at the Naruto and Bleach endings, both of them felt rushed because both of them felt like there was still more that could be done.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. So the thing is, what I feel like should have happened in Naruto, I did not care for the Naruto Hinata pairing, really, to be honest. Like even back in the day. But I just feel like it would have been good character development had Hinata, like gotten over her crush, but she would still be inspired by, Naruto. And yes, a lot of these side characters, like, we said, got shafted. A lot of those side characters, everyone, like hooked onto in part one, but they got shafted in part two. You needed to develop a lot of these other characters. You needed to develop a lot of the other teams, but that didn't happen. That's a big thing, that was also a major issue. And having Naruto, break the formula, having him, it turns out it is about what you're born with. It's the series just, I feel, went backwards on all the progress it made.
When you say Naruto Hinata, I'm gonna say this. I try to stay neutral in a lot of my videos unless it's a opinionated video. If I'll throw shots at people on Twitter or whatnot, but like on my videos, I stay neutral. And
but I'll say this. Here, go ahead, say it.
Naruto and Hinata was a bull pairing, and it's not, oh, I don't like the pairing, or oh, I don't like Hinata. It's not anything like that. It's just that I didn't like it for a couple of reasons. The first reason is if you just look at it, you take out all the filler. If you just look at it and you read the story, there was no payoff to that.
There was nothing.
No payoff. There was no development. There was no development between those two. The little bit of stuff that you got, that's the same stuff like the Naruto and Sakura fans could say, oh, yeah, well, they had these little moments here or there. Like, there was nothing concrete there. And then when you take it a step further and you start looking at the rules that go with writing romance and the shoujo elements that Kishimoto tried to incorporate to even justify that pairing, like when he had the shoujo writers do the Naruto The Last Story,
Bull.
to make retcons. My bad.
No, I'm just saying that the last was bull. All that stuff.
Yeah, like the writers that they brought in for that, they retcon Naruto's childhood. Like, in order to justify the pairing, they said, oh, well, Naruto and Hinata, they had the moment when they were kids and Naruto protected her and he showed like a natural caring for her early on. But you got to look at it. When he's making the clone, it's a small clone, but it's moving and everything. But when you look at the first chapter of the series, Naruto couldn't even produce a clone that can stand up for 2 seconds, let alone clones that can do movement and everything.
Yeah,
and
breaking
there's just a bunch of small retcons in there where it's just like, if you have to justify it by retroactive continuity, it's a bad idea.
Yeah, and yeah, so the reason why I love Naruto and Sakura, one, because you have the standard trope, like, oh, the hot-headed female ends up with the main guy. I mean, they did that in Full Metal Alchemist, they did that in a lot of other shonen series. But your video, what if Naruto married Sakura, I honestly feel that's says almost everything there is. I honestly love that video that you did. I was able to download it, and it it says it all there, to be honest. And honestly, I really do think Kiba would have been a good love interest for Hinata. He was a character that I really did enjoy, and I've actually had quite a bit of fan art made for him, like that one, that one Naruto slash Kiba picture, that split down the middle.
Yeah, that was good. And the other thing, when you talk about Kiba and Hinata thing, that was actually a really popular pairing. Like, if you just take out the Naruto and Hinata thing, and I've talked about this before, when Kishimoto said, like in 2014, he decided on Naruto and Hinata midway through, that's when Hinata's popularity was just surging. She was on the up and up at that point, and I think that confession she did with Naruto is what kind of boosted her up at that point. But the other thing on it is, when you start looking at the fan pairings, a lot of people were huge on Hinata and Kiba, and it was kind of like, you go back to the tuning exams, I think that probably did it. Like, when Kiba is showing a lot of worry and concern about Hinata right before she fights with Neji, it was implied that there was a relationship there, that Kiba knew about her clan backstory and knew more about the character, which means she probably confided in him. And just the opposite is, Kiba had a lot of those same traits that Naruto did. He was very brash and outspoken, and everybody thought he was a joke. And both characters are characters that were inspired by Naruto in some kind of way, shape, form, or fashion. So that would have made a lot of sense.
Yeah, I see Kiba as like a brunette Naruto. Not just in design, but I also see some of his things in him. So overall, Naruto is a series that we can still rat on. We can completely rat on for a long time because of a lot of shortcomings. But like I said, I don't blame Kishimoto, and I have a lot of respect for the guy because of what he did. I am interested in seeing what his next series will be, because he says he wants to do something new. And I will still remember a lot of the good times that Naruto, gave me. And if there's ever, like, say, if they ever want to reboot it or do an alternate telling, which a lot of people do want to see an alternate telling, but I really do love the series. That's why people like you and me have these, rants or talking, because of how passionate and how much it resonated with us as fans. You know,
Oh
I
hell
like
yes.
Angry Joe. He said something to the effect of like, the reason why I'm so angry at this, because he was like talking about a particular game, because he wants to love it. He loves it, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of shortcomings, that he wants to love, but he has to give his criticism. That's what I feel, people like you and I kind of say.
And see, when you say that, and I'm a fan of Angry Joe as well. Like his Last Jedi, like that whole panel they did on that movie, that was classic. But like the thing is a lot of people nowadays they mistake often a criticism of a series as saying you don't like it. When you critique the series, there's a difference between just flat out hating the series, hating on it, and saying, like you were saying, like, I really love this series. I noticed the shortcomings of it, and I really feel like this could be improved. That's showing how much you actually love the series and the fact that you see it, you enjoy it, you see the problem, and you want the problem to be fixed because you want it to take that next step.
Yes. So, in conclusion, Naruto is a great series, and it will definitely, still be in the thoughts, of many anime fans and, shonen fans for years to come. And, whatever is in the future of the series, I'm all ears, I'm listening to hear what they might do, but, it all depends on whether or not it's good or not. If it brings back that quality, whether or not I'll check it out. But again, I love the series, very passionate about it because it struck a chord with me. And to be honest, it's it was sad seeing how it ended, but still one of the best shonen series I've ever watched and read. And here is to the future of the series. And, here's to Kishimoto, thanking him for giving us this amazing series.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Like you can't follow that up. That's beautiful, man. I don't think people realize how hard it is to do a weekly series, and for Kishimoto to do it for 14 years, like how he did, and to go through a lot of the health issues he did while he was doing it, to be able to pump out something like this, even with his flaws, like it's beautiful. You gave your story about how you went through a dark period and the series was able to touch you. That shows how beautiful this series is in that it can touch people when they're going through a tough period in their time. Like with me, I basically grew up with Naruto. As Naruto grew up, I was growing up as well. Like depending on what part of the series we were in, I was only a few years younger than Naruto. I was a couple years older, depending on where we're at. And it's just remarkable that, what we're 4.5 years since Naruto ended, and we're still talking about it. That shows you the impact it had.
I would like to thank Naruto Explained for joining me on the podcast today.
Oh man, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. Anytime I talk Naruto with anybody, grab the ramen bowls because this is fun.
You can find a link to Naruto Explained's YouTube channel, as well as a couple links to some of the videos we mentioned today. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Creative Corner Podcast. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to know as soon as new episodes of the series come out, and be sure to hit the like button to show your support.